Welcome back to the channel Numismatic Coin, to an exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare coins. Today, we are exploring the incredible story of the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin that may look ordinary but could hide an extraordinary value. Minted during a historic transition by the United States Mint, this quarter without a mint mark has captured the attention of collectors around the world. Some rare examples and unusual mint errors have reached astonishing prices, proving that even a simple coin from the era of George Washington can hold the power to surprise collectors and possibly change someone's fortune overnight. Top 2. First up. The story of the 1965 Washington quarter begins in one of the most dramatic years in modern American coin history. In 1965, the United States Mint made a revolutionary change to the nation's coinage system. Rising silver prices forced the government to remove silver from circulating quarters and replace it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. During this transition, millions of new quarters were struck without mint marks, making the 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark a fascinating piece of numismatic history. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary coin, but collectors know that hidden among these coins are rare variations and unusual strikes that can command astonishing prices. The design of the coin honors George Washington, whose portrait appears on the front. This design was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate Washington's 200th birthday and has remained one of the most recognizable images in American currency. On the reverse side, the powerful eagle with outstretched wings symbolizes strength, independence, and national pride. By 1965, this iconic design had already been circulating for decades, yet the historical changes happening at the time made the 1965 quarter particularly special. One of the most interesting facts about the 1965 quarter is the absence of a mint mark. Normally, coins produced in places like Denver or San Francisco carried small identifying letters. However, from 1965 to 1967, the mint removed mint marks entirely to discourage collectors from hoarding newly released coins. As a result, every standard 1965 quarter appears to have no mint mark, which adds an element of mystery and confusion for beginners. But experienced collectors know that certain rare varieties or unusual minting errors from this period can transform an ordinary-looking coin into a treasure. In circulated and worn condition, most 1965 quarters are only worth their face value of 25 cents. However, the story becomes much more exciting when we talk about rare mint errors, unusual strikes, and coins preserved in extraordinary condition. Some examples struck with unusual characteristics, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or transitional metal errors, have captured the attention of serious collectors. These rare pieces can sell for thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their rarity and condition. Among the most legendary discoveries are 1965 quarters mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier years. Since the mint officially removed silver from quarters that year, any genuine silver 1965 quarter is considered an extraordinary mint error. If such a coin appears in high condition and is authenticated by experts, its value can rise dramatically. Stories of these rare pieces selling for massive sums continue to excite collectors and treasure hunters across the world. Another factor that can dramatically increase the value of a 1965 Washington quarter is its condition. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels, especially those showing perfect luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, are incredibly rare because most quarters from that year entered heavy circulation. A flawless example preserved for decades can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars to collectors who demand perfection. Sometimes even coins found in very dirty or heavily circulated condition can surprise collectors. A quarter that appears worn or discolored might still carry a hidden minting error or unusual metal composition. That is why experienced collectors often recommend never spending old coins without first examining them carefully. Even a coin that looks ordinary could contain a rare feature that dramatically increases its value. The excitement around the 1965 Washington quarter comes from the possibility of discovery. Many collectors believe that rare examples are still hiding in old coin jars, inherited collections, or forgotten drawers. Because millions were produced, it is still possible that undiscovered varieties exist. This sense of mystery and potential fortune is what keeps collectors searching through pocket change even today. In today's numismatic market, certain exceptional 1965 quarters have reached astonishing prices at auctions and private sales. When a coin combines rarity, unique minting characteristics, and exceptional preservation, collectors may compete fiercely to own it. The value of such coins can climb into the thousands or even far beyond, depending on the uniqueness of the piece and the demand among collectors. For someone who unknowingly owns a rare variety, the discovery can feel life-changing. Imagine finding an old quarter that most people would ignore, only to learn that it contains a rare error or transitional metal strike. That moment transforms a simple coin into a historical artifact with extraordinary value. Stories like these are what inspire new collectors to explore the fascinating world of rare coins. Collectors also value the historical importance of the 1965 quarter because it represents a turning point in American coinage. It marks the end of the traditional silver era and the beginning of modern clad coinage. Holding this coin is like holding a small piece of economic history from a time when the nation was adapting to rising metal costs and changing financial realities. In the end, the 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark is far more than just pocket change. It represents history, craftsmanship, and the thrilling possibility of hidden value. Whether found in pristine condition or covered in decades of circulation where this coin reminds us that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest surprises. For collectors and treasure hunters alike, a simple quarter from 1965 might just be the coin that changes everything overnight. Next up, the 1967 Washington quarter without a mint mark is one of those coins that creates excitement, mystery, and sometimes unrealistic dreams in the world of numismatics. The coin belongs to the famous Washington quarter series, first introduced in 1932 to honor President George Washington. By 1967, the United States was going through a coin shortage, and special measures were taken that changed how coins were produced. This is where the story of the 1967 quarter truly begins. Between 1965 and 1967, the United States Mint made a historic decision. It removed mint marks from circulating coins. This means that no regular 1967 Washington quarter should have a mint mark at all. So when collectors say 1967 quarter without mint mark, they are actually describing a normal issue coin. Unlike earlier years where D or S mint marks identified Denver or San Francisco, 1967 quarters were intentionally struck without any mint identification to discourage hoarding during the nationwide coin shortage. Another major change happened in 1965 that directly affects the 1967 quarter's value. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, but starting in 1965, including 1967, quarters were struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. That means a regular 1967 quarter contains no silver at all. So if you are holding a standard 1967 quarter in worn or very dirty condition, its base metal value remains just 25 cents. Dirt, tunning, or discoloration does not automatically increase value. Now here, where things get interesting. While normal 1967 quarters are common, millions and millions were struck, there are rare exceptions. Some 1967 quarters were produced as special mint set SMS coins. These were not proof coins, but they were struck with better quality dies and surfaces. In high grades with deep cameo contrast, certain 1967 SMS quarters can sell for thousands of dollars, especially if certified in near-perfect condition. However, claims of a 1967 no-mint mark quarter being worth millions of dollars are almost always exaggerated. For a coin from this year to reach extreme value, it would need to have a dramatic and rare mint error, something extraordinary like a major off-metal strike, a double denomination, or an experimental planchet. These types of errors are incredibly rare and highly documented. Without such an error, the coin will not reach life-changing levels. Collectors also search for doubled dies or striking errors from 1967. A strong doubled die on the lettering or date could increase value significantly. But even then, values usually range from hundreds to a few $1,000s depending on condition. A coin in very dirty condition would need professional conservation and grading before any serious collector would consider paying premium money. Condition plays a powerful role in coin value. A 1967 quarter graded MS67 or higher by a respected grading service can bring strong prices because high-grade examples are difficult to find. But coins found in circulation, especially heavily worn, scratched, or dirty, rarely achieve such grades. Cleaning a coin to improve its look can actually destroy its collector value permanently. It is also important to understand that rarity and demand work together. The 1967 quarter had an extremely high mintage. Over 1.5 billion pieces were produced. When a coin is that common, only unique characteristics make it valuable. Simply being old or lacking a mint mark in this specific year does not create rarity because that feature applies to every 1967 quarter. Stories about becoming a billionaire overnight from a single 1967 quarter are powerful and exciting, especially for YouTube titles and viral content. But in the professional coin market, prices are based on verified sales, population reports, and authentication. No standard 1967 clad Washington quarter has ever sold for millions of dollars under normal circumstances. That said, the dream of discovery is what keeps coin collecting alive. Imagine finding a previously unknown mint error or experimental strike from 1967, something never recorded before. In that extremely rare situation, a coin could command astonishing value because it would represent a unique piece of American minting history. But such discoveries are extraordinarily uncommon. If you believe your 1967 quarter is unusual, the smartest move is to have it examined by a reputable grading service. Authentication protects you and confirms whether your coin is an ordinary circulation piece or something special. Never sell a potentially rare coin without professional evaluation, but also never assume it is worth millions without solid evidence. In conclusion, the 1967 Washington quarter without a mint mark is historically interesting because of the mint mark suspension era and the transition away from silver coinage. Yet in most cases, a worn or dirty example is worth face value. The true power of this coin lies not in automatic millionaire status, but in understanding mint history, grading, rarity, and the real forces that determine value in today's market.